And we're like,
Mic is on, 1, 2.
Good day, Just FM viewers and listeners. We are here live today at Southern Alberta Lethbridge, and of course we have a special, very special guest as of today. And in behalf of the crew, I got Mr. Lou as my co-interviewee. My name is John, and on the technical side is Mr. Randy. And of course we have our very special guest for today, and the mayor, the incumbent himself, His Excellency, Notre Maire, Notre Ami, Monsieur Mayor Chris Spearman. Thank you for having and being here on our show.
Well, I'm happy to be here. It's great to be able to reach out to your audience and maybe answer some questions and hopefully explain a little bit about our city and how we're doing.
yes,
Thank you,
of
Mr.
course.
Mayor.
And so we're gonna know a lot about our honorable mayor on this show and what he has done for Lethbridge for the past years, because our city really looks really great under our mayor.
Well,
Very good achievement. So, without further ado, we will kindly introduce our great mayor. So, of course, Mayor, you've been 4 years mayor in Lethbridge, and of course, the Lethbridgians pretty much know who Mayor Chris Spearman is. What else can we know about the great mayor?
all right. I've lived in Lethbridge for 36 years. I worked at one of the local industries during that time from 1981 to 2013. So I had worked for them for 32 years right here in the city. I raised my family here. I had 4 children. I served on the Catholic School Board for 18 years, which was good preparation for serving on City Council. I was active with the Chamber of Commerce in Lethbridge and with Economic Development. I also volunteered for the Rehabilitation Society that provides opportunities for people with permanent developmental disabilities. So my sister-in-law had Down syndrome, so I was very interested in supporting people who had those kind of challenges. And then another organization that I volunteered for was the Aboriginal Housing Society to provide housing to people who normally wouldn't qualify for housing. And when people have housing, they can access education, they can access employment. So I think that was a good background for me becoming a mayor, and it's great experience, a broad base of experience, and then hopefully that's helped me prepare for this position.
That's very
Yeah,
good.
that's very extensive resume our mayor has. So, by the way, to just let our viewers know, and our mayor as well, our show caters to the Asian community, but mostly also to people from Lethbridge, because we are based here, although we do topics about Asia, about Philippines in particular. To all Filipinos and Asians here in Lethbridge, our mayor is here, so we are letting our mayor know that the Asian community supports him, and we want the Asian community to know what our mayor has done for our city. DJ John, so Ms. Honorable Mayor, do you have any particular Asian food that you like, or
And dish that
a dish?
There are certain things, bobo balls. I like bobo balls. Yeah, they're always very good. But yeah, generally anything like chicken in batter with sauces. I have really good things. Healthier things, more like vegetables, but I like things with a sauce that adds sauce, adds flavor, right?
A lot of Asian foods have
Yeah.
they put a lot of
Pretty
sauce
much,
on it.
yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a staple. Now, moving on, I mean, majority of Asians, mayor, are conservatives, but easy to adapt. Now, how are they adapting so far to the city of Lethbridge?
I think Lethbridge is a welcoming city. We're a very diverse city. We want to make sure that we celebrate our differences, and we look for occasions to feature different communities at different times. So one of the buildings that we opened this time was the Multicultural Center.
Right.
So it's run by the Southern Alberta Ethnic Association, but every week or 2 weeks, there's another community having a different type of celebration. Lethbridge has been very welcoming to people from other countries. Years ago, many people from Vietnam came to Lethbridge. There's a large, significant Chinese community, a large Filipino community. We've been very good at bringing in Bhutanese refugees.
Yes, thanks a lot. Yeah.
We have the largest Bhutanese community in Canada here in the city of Lethbridge with more than 1,000 Bhutanese people. In the last couple of years, we've been bringing in Syrian refugees and refugees from Sudan. So we certainly have assisted in that national effort to bring in refugees from other countries. When the refugee situation first was identified, what I did was I called together community groups. I called together like the school boards, the health people, of course the refugee settlement organizations, and we would meet every month anticipating when the refugees would come and how we would help them transition in the city. And we learned a lot of things by meeting together. The health people could say, well, these people haven't had a lot of good health treatment. The first family that came from Syria, the father had a broken leg that hadn't been treated for 3 years. So that had to be corrected. Many people had no dental care for multiple years. So dental work was provided. Many had to be inoculated. We have a lot of inoculations here against diseases, measles, tuberculosis, and other things, chicken pox. So these people all had to be inoculated before the children could go to school. You know, we learned very quickly that they were unilingually Arabic, so they couldn't speak English well. They had a different understanding of what requirements there were for working. So some people said, well, I'd like to be an electrician. And we said, well, do you have qualifications? And they said, well, my father taught me to be an electrician, right?
Yeah.
So
it's hands-on, pretty much hands-on.
so in Canada, we require more formal qualifications to do those types of things. So we had to get people enrolled in programs so that they could learn and adapt. So I think by identifying what the needs were, by organization, we associated different organizations to assist people. So I think we try our best to bring people together. Of course, there's a big Heritage Day celebration the first weekend in August every year, and we encourage people to come out and learn about other people's cultures and foods and costumes and things like that. So it's something that we celebrate as a city.
That's correct. And I do see the mayor that day. I was present on that day. So.
And that's very good to hear, because
It's pretty good.
I didn't know we're Asians, and the mayor knows more about what's happening with the Asian community than us.
Maybe we spread by sending the message right now. We
Yes.
can invite more by next year. We should have a great turnout.
Yes, that's right.
And of course, we're gonna rally at your back with that one.
What I've done since I've been mayor, I make a point of getting to as many community activities as possible, because it's good for me. I learn a lot,
Yes.
you know, when I talk to different people. So if I'm on a walk for a charity, maybe if it's a kidney disease, quite often I'm talking to people who are on dialysis or who have been on dialysis, and they tell me how difficult it was in their lives, because they couldn't really function. If they go in for dialysis one day and they have a day of rest, and then on the third day they have to go back to dialysis, and so every second day they're going for dialysis, it's hard to do a job, it's hard to maintain an activity. And when they're fortunate enough to receive a transplant, they're back to a normal life again. Or, you know, I have a friend who has ALS. You know, I've known him for some time, and to see him and his family suffering, to see many people come out and participate in the ALS walk and be part of them and talk about the struggles that they have as they face a serious disease together. You know, there are so many charitable walks. On this past Sunday, I was at the Terry Fox run. So Terry Fox is a Canadian hero. He was a young man who was an amputee who tried to run across Canada to raise money for cancer. And his uncle came out. His uncle lives near Lethbridge and comes out every year.
Oh, yeah.
And his uncle's name is Terry Fox. So Terry was named after his uncle.
Wow.
And you meet people who are struggling, fighting against cancer, and people who have survived. And you hear the powerful stories, the stories about people who have survived cancer. You know, the technology and the research is paying off. So we're getting better and better at defeating cancer in different forms. And to hear the good news story inspires people who have recently been diagnosed.
So they don't lose hope.
Yes, that's right. So it's important that the mayor be there and support all those types of causes. So a lot of my time in the evenings and on the weekends is spent attending community events and charity events. And like I say, as I attend them, I learn more about them.
Yeah. And that's what we want from our mayor. Very hands-on.
Yep.
And involved with the community. Going to a different topic, I know that you're a very passionate environmentalist.
Yes.
What can you say about what's happening right now at Waterton and Pitcher Creek?
Well, the big fire is something that's a challenge for us. Of course, the city of Lethbridge sent a fire group down to Waterton to help protect the buildings in the town. So Waterton is a significant tourist destination in southwestern Alberta, and of course it's a valuable attraction that we want to keep. It's important to us to fight the fire. The province sent 800 firefighters and they sent a lot of equipment, but certainly it was a difficult time for people who live in southwest Alberta to see the fires and not knowing if we could stop them or not. And so there were 5 ranch homes that were lost, and I have friends who live very close to the Castle region, south of Beaver Mines.
Yes.
And they were worried that the fire would come into the Castle region. So would jump over the mountains. And fortunately, it's been stopped before it's jumped over the mountains. And now we're hoping for cold weather and snow and rain that will help stop the fire. So it's still classified as being out of control, but it's not progressing as quickly as it was. And the firefighters have had some success, and of course, the town of Waterton to this point has been protected, the town itself. Yeah.
That's great to hear that it's at least improving and not getting worse.
It's the better news that we received for the past week. So
and it helps those those fire bans and that the city and environment has been implemented. It's it's helping a lot.
It is.
So it doesn't add to the problem.
We've had some big fires in the city, and they've all been caused by the same cause, by careless smoking. Yes. And people don't realize, quite often they put out their cigarettes in a plant pot, but the plant pots are very dry and they have dead roots and things like that. So that becomes inflammatory, where normally it wouldn't be if something was receiving watering all the time. And so we've had 2 apartment fires, one in a senior's home, one in North Lethbridge, and also a big fire in one of our city parks that was caused by cigarettes that weren't extinguished properly. So we want to remind people. We have signs all over town reminding people there's a fire ban. We're asking people to be very careful. If they're smoking cigarettes, make sure they put them out inside a can, or make sure that they put them out inside a liquid. Make sure they're fully extinguished. We have to take extra care at this time. People can't be careless.
That's correct.
And that's a very good point that the mayor is suggesting and also advising everybody. That is leading us to another point about the Asian community, that a lot of immigrants, especially from Asia, have different cultures, have different habits, different smoking. Maybe you've realized that Canada is stricter and a little bit more disciplined when it comes to just smoking and throwing stuff. So that's one of the reasons we should be able to help our city to become safer. Now, DJ John, do you have another question about?
Oh, sure. I mean, majority of Asians are conservatives, but easy to adapt. How are they adapting so far in the city?
Well, this is an area that's naturally conservative. I think there's been more progress made in the last few years. I think we want to be actually progressive, and we want to make sure that we reach out and we support people, that we understand people. One of the major accomplishments that this city council has made, our motto for the city of Lethbridge is equal opportunity for all. When it's translated for, we recognize that there have been struggles for some people, especially our Indigenous people, and they don't get housing at the same rates as non-Indigenous people. They don't get employment at the same rates. They suffer completing education, and so we have basically, we're the first city in Canada that has developed a response to what's called the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Wow, that's very good to hear.
So this is our plan, and we are kicking it off tomorrow, and it's quite a detailed plan. You'll see a lot of items and a lot of responses, and who's responsible to develop responses for these different actions.
That's right.
So we are going to address social issues in our city, and we are going to make sure that everyone has the same opportunity. This is a 10-year plan. We won't be able to solve everything tomorrow, but we're going to begin the process this week. We're going to invite people to come down and ask everyone how can they participate and make sure that we don't discriminate against people, that we encourage people and we support others, regardless of their background, regardless of the color of their skin, regardless of their religious beliefs, that everyone has the same opportunities who live here or who come here.
That's nice. I believe it's an open invitation for all Lethbridgians to attend, and I'll sign up automatically if you have the time. And
what's great about this is this is a very proactive approach. You know the saying, the ounce of prevention saves you a pound of cure, right? And that's what our mayor is all about. Even before any problems might arise, he's already way on top of the issue by having this program to make the community come together and be able to help and share ideas on how to improve the city and our relationship with everybody else.
Well, Martin Luther King back in 1963 gave a famous speech saying, "I have a dream when everyone's equal, everyone has equal opportunity." And you think about that, and it's more than 50 years since he made that speech, and we haven't realized that dream, right? And so we have to take some positive steps. We have to have a plan. You can't realize a dream unless you've got a plan. So we have a plan, and then we'll start measuring how we're doing against that plan.
Right.
So
you have a gauge.
Yes.
So at least to adjust more or just less. That's really good.
At least we have a concrete plan and agenda, and of course that's pretty much. We're lucky to have this kind of plan, and of course it's for the benefit and of course for the long term of all Lethbridgians, and this is an amazing.
Just the name itself, sharing network, reconciliation. That's pretty much will sum it all. So you can check it on I believe the city's website.
It's on the website as well electronically. We have books for those who would like books. But I think to go back to your question about people who are conservative, doesn't matter whether people are conservative or liberal. I prefer to say progressive. Are we happy to stay the way we are, or are we going to address our problems and issues, right? So if we're going to progress, if we're going to make sure that things change, that things are better for people in our city, that everyone has opportunities, then we have to be progressive and not label ourselves as conservative or liberal or otherwise.
That's right.
Yeah.
Going back, because me and John, he's from Montreal before.
Yep.
I live in Edmonton, Calgary, Toronto, and Saskatchewan. And I find Lethbridge weather as one of the nicest, if not the nicest that I have been. So do you think that's one of the reasons why a lot of immigrants, especially coming from warmer weather, like Lethbridge, other than compared to the other cities?
Possibly, but I find here, because of the dry climate, that when it's cold, it doesn't feel as cold as it does in some of the eastern cities. Like in Montreal and Toronto, when it's minus 15 Celsius, it's bitingly cold. And here it can be minus 25, and it doesn't seem quite as cold as it is when it's minus 15 in the east. So that's one thing. I think the wind, the Chinook winds, provide warmth every once in a while. They provide relief. And sometimes we get less snow than they get in the east for
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
you know, and a good thing about wind is that you don't have to shovel wind, right? So
That's me.
Yeah.
so wind can be strong, it can be a little bit unpleasant, but it's not as bad as having to shovel on a regular
Yes,
basis.
that's right.
And so from that perspective, it's a little bit safer. We don't use very much salt on our roads. You know, it's more moderate in the wintertime.
And it's
So
expensive. When I was in Saskatchewan, they're always out of budget
Yeah.
shoveling the road. So if you don't have it here, you can, our mayor uses the budget in more beneficial and efficient.
yeah, can spend money in
projects.
better ways.
Yes.
But we do pay attention to snow clearing, and we have a plan to clear the roads. We start with the most commonly used roads first, to the high priority routes, and then we have a priority system: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we do number 1 priority first, and then we progress to number 2, 3, 4, and 5. As the time goes. So might be 4 or 5 days before we get to number 5, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's very efficient, like a computer flowchart.
Yeah.
If this and if not, then go here and go here. So everything is pretty much covered by our mayor.
It's well planned.
Yeah. Yes.
It's amazing. You want to add, Mr. Mayor?
I think that pretty much covered. I think the weather is more pleasant, and of course we have people retiring to Lethbridge as well.
Yes.
Sometimes it's seen by older people as
Right.
a pleasant place to retire to because of the
Right.
more modest climate.
I agree. Well, my wife is actually a nurse here, so
Right.
she gives services for the seniors. So
Yes.
and she loves it. And of course, it's from the heart being a nurse. So.
Yep, they're very compassionate people. Right? Yeah.
And touching to our Asian community, Mr. Mayor, I know you have been in China.
Yep.
You have a travel this year. Now, have you been to any outside Asian countries besides China?
China and Japan are the
Japan.
2 that I've been to at this point. So I look forward to traveling a little bit. The challenge I have as the mayor, of course, is there always has to be a reason to go.
Yes.
And how does it benefit taxpayers if I'm going there
That's right.
on business trips? So this past year we had sister cities in both China and Japan, and also we were having our 50th anniversary of the Nikayuko Japanese Gardens. We had representatives from the Japanese imperial family attend
Wow.
the opening and the 25th anniversary, and I worked with the Japanese consulate in Calgary to get an appointment at the Imperial Palace, because you have to hand deliver the invitation.
That's right.
So I was there in February, hand delivering the invitation to the Imperial family at the Imperial Palace
Wow,
in Tokyo.
that's-
That was a
That's a
unique
good-
experience, and of course Princess Ayako of Takamoto came, princess from the Imperial family, and was part of the 50th anniversary celebration. So that
That's
was
great.
wonderful. Our sister city in China, Anyang, is the home of the Chinese alphabet.
Oh.
So they have a museum with characters that are 4,000 years
Years
old.
old.
The original characters that are carved into bone and
Yeah.
carved into turtle shells and things like that. So it's very interesting to see and visit our sister cities, and also promote opportunities for economic development between the 2 countries. And we were doing that in Japan as well. Educational exchanges as well. The college, the university, and our school systems took part. Whether there would be opportunities. So we need to look at some other opportunities for other Asian countries. But there's a cost. We need to manage our existing relationships well. We need to support them, and we need to, before we expand too quickly. But it certainly was very interesting for me to go and visit other countries and see the different cultures that existed over there. And
It's very nice.
it's one thing. I participate in the Japanese community celebrations here and the Chinese community celebrations here, as well as the others. And it's one thing to learn about their customs and what they brought here. It's quite another thing to visit those countries and see
That's right.
what the day-to-day life is really like.
So at least you'll be able to understand more.
Yes.
Now you do understand more, some Asian cultures, and that's one of the 2 best countries to go to if somebody wants to understand how Asians live compared to Canada,
That's right.
China, and Japan. Because you see the very poor and the very rich as well.
Yeah.
It's a very good
Yeah.
trip.
And how those countries are progressing. To
Yes.
think in 1979, China was a communist country,
Mhm.
and now they're promoting a lot of free enterprise, but they still have some interesting municipal government structures
Yes.
and that are probably from pre 1979. But to see how those cities have grown and how quickly they've grown, and they have challenges with rural depopulation.
Yes.
So people are moving from the agricultural areas and they're not on the farms anymore because they're going into the big cities and
Business
getting
sectors,
jobs,
yes.
right? So,
Yes.
whoa, those cities are huge. Yeah.
And they've learned a lot too from the Western countries. Look what they did to Hong Kong and
Yeah,
Macau.
right.
You know, they didn't do the same kind of government to those territories.
Yeah.
So that shows that a lot of Western influence are rubbing in on China, and they're picking the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Honorable Mayor, since you've been mayor, you've been credited with improvement, a lot of improvement that you've done to the city. Do you have any other major programs that you would be focusing once you get elected again as our mayor?
Well, we need to focus on a serious drug problem that's been growing in our city for the last 2 years. So I've formed a group, the Leaders Coalition on Opioids, and again we've got people from health services, the police are involved, the ambulance responders are involved, school systems are involved, and we're learning about the problem. And of course we're looking for a supervised injection site, which will be controversial. It's been proposed by Arches. It's been approved by the provincial government, and now may get approval from the federal government. But what we would do is build a relationship with the drug addicts, and if you build a relationship with them, if they build trust with them, then maybe we can treat them and help them get off addiction, provide
Yes.
substitution
And safer.
Yeah, super. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100% with the mayor. It's it could be controversial, but I've been in Edmonton. I've been to constructions, and we go to those tent cities where some section of the population, and you'll see a lot of needles there. We have to go there and dismantle those, and it's not safe, not just for the people who go there, but also for the workers. So by having that initiative, and like our mayor said, he has consulted a lot of the members and communities, and they are all supporting it. So that is a good initiative that our mayor is doing.
So not everything has to be about dollars and cents. Some things are about how can you help people. We have significant homelessness in our city, so we want to make sure that we expand the supply of affordable houses, and we want to make sure we address the needs of the homeless people and hopefully end homelessness in our city. So that's a big challenge. We've been working on that in this term. We've had some progress, some success, but we certainly haven't solved the problem. We don't want people to think that the homeless shelter is their permanent home. We want them to be able to be independent and supported.
Very nice. And I believe that it may be controversial about that drug problem, but it needs to be addressed as
It
far
does.
as I'm concerned. So that's a very good point, Mr. Mayor. So how can we all, like me, I'm trying to help the community by spreading the message as we do on our radio, as we do on our Facebook. So how can we all help as residents of the city of Lethbridge?
Very complicated, but I'm a little dry with the smoke in the air. But the thing is, people have to recognize that we do have a serious problem, and not to be judgmental about it. People say, well, why would you pursue this problem? Why would you help these people? Why wouldn't you just let them all die? Well, the challenge is, as we have more addiction, we have more petty crime. There's lots of car break-ins, lots of damage, lots of theft. That is growing. You can either do something or do nothing. We're choosing to do something,
Yes, sir.
and try and assist these people. when it comes to needles in the parks, needles in the playgrounds, we're going to be putting boxes up where needles can be placed. We want to train people, make sure that the average person isn't picking it up, that they're reporting them if they haven't been trained on how to pick up these needles. We want other people to do it. We funded a diversion outreach team. If you see people who are struggling, you can call the diversion outreach team, and a wagon will come and assist these people. We have trained mental health workers on the diversion outreach team. We also funded artists to have a needle cleanup program. So those complaints that we're getting about petty crime and about needle debris, about people going into the washrooms at the shopping malls and using them for drug use, we're hoping to address those problems with the programs that we're developing, so that we hopefully will solve those problems or substantially reduce them.
Okay, so you guys.
The important thing is for people to be informed as to where to get the information and who to call when you see a problem. We're not asking you to intervene.
Yes.
We would ask you to help us know where there's a problem. So if you see a park where there's a collection of needles, let us know, so that we can begin cleaning it up and quantifying how many needles there are, and make sure there are facilities there that. So maybe people won't put them on the ground anymore. They put them in a box where they can be safely removed, right? So
that's a great initiative, and to our listeners who's going to be viewing this on Facebook and also in YouTube, that's just some of the examples that we can do in order to help our mayor and our officials of the city to make Lethbridge a lot safer and better. Now going back, as you know, election is pretty much approaching, and we did some research and we found out that voter turnout is somewhere around 30%.
yeah.
We know that, and a lot of the people from Lethbridge know that you've been a very great mayor, and sometimes it becomes a little bit more complacent on some of the voters. That, hey, our mayor is really good. He's gonna win. So what can you let all of your supporters and also the Bridgians to go out and support this election? Because you can never be complacent. If you really like we all are here, what our mayor is doing, you should really go out and vote. What's your message to all of the voters of Lethbridge?
Well, your municipal government is the level of government or the order of government that affects your life the most. So, you pay taxes to the federal government, you pay taxes to the provincial government, but people scratch their heads and they're not sure what they get for their money, right? But here in the city, you can see there's a leisure center being built, right? With 2 ice rinks, it's got 10 curling sheets, and we're going to build a whole exercise plan with a pool with a lot of things that you can do in that pool. We renovated Henderson Pool. There's parks all over the city. We provide transit service. The condition of the roads, you can see pretty directly in the city what the benefits are.
Yes.
We provide the fire service, the police service, ambulance service. All those services are provided by the city. We provide the fireworks on Canada Day.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So we support vibrant downtown in terms of festivals. So 4 years ago there were 15 festivals in the downtown. 3 years ago it was 17. 2 years ago 19. Then 21. I think this year it's 23 festivals in the downtown. So more and more festivals, more and more reasons for people to come downtown and celebrate together, and it makes it a vibrant downtown. We offer subsidies to people that want to build downtown accommodation, right? And we want people to live downtown. So there are lots of things that we fund that affect the quality of life in Lethbridge. Do we have enough arenas? Do we have enough parks? Do we have is the service good enough? So people should be participating in the local election because it's the level that affects their lives the most.
Yes, and of course programs like this, that's the only time that your voices will be heard. And like our mayor said, support our local candidates, support the election because it's for you. We are the ones who are going to be directly affected, and we're very happy with what our mayor is doing. So let's go out and vote.
And it's the title, Exercise Our Rights. So, Lethbridgians, it's an open invitation from our great mayor to get out and vote.
Yep.
That's pretty much to address what would you like and to pick who would you like to be in office. Hence that we entitled our program with that Exercise the Rights.
Yeah.
So with that said, Mr. Mayor, we salute the men and women of the Lethbridge Police and our firefighters, Lethbridgians' finest. So is there more we can do to help them at least?
Sure. There are things we can do. There's a Crime Stoppers reporting system. If you see a crime, the police can't be everywhere at once, but if you're a witness to a crime, certainly provide that information to Crime Stoppers. Be proactive about it.
Right.
Don't wait to be asked. If you see something unusual, please report it. A lot of people have smartphones these days. They've got cameras. You can take pictures of people, send them the information. When it comes to the firefighters, they're also our first responders. They're all trained as paramedics. So sometimes you'll see a fire truck come to a house. Someone's having a heart attack. The firefighter can respond to that. They have all the equipment on the fire truck except the stretcher. So they will keep somebody alive until the ambulance arrives. The ambulance might be busy at times, but the important thing is to learn some things. If you can learn to keep people alive, if you can take a course on CPR or something like that, that's always helpful. No one ever wants to lose anyone in their family, none of their loved ones. If you know how to prevent people from choking, make sure those type of things, and of course be safe. Make sure you're not part of the problem, that you're not creating the issue. So I think that would be really helpful. And of course, something you can do is tell our police and our firefighters that they're very much appreciated. When you have the opportunity to do so, those people put their lives on the line. Sometimes they're in difficult situations. They're having to enter into situations where there's family violence, or somebody might be armed, or they're arresting drug dealers, or responding to people who are passed out and you don't know why they're passed out. Maybe they had a drug overdose, and we want to make sure that our first responders are safe as well, that they don't accidentally have a drug overdose by responding to someone who's having one, right? So those are things that just be aware that they have high risk jobs, and let them know that we appreciate the work they do.
Yes, sir.
It's very good.
Well said.
Yes.
And I guess that addresses everything. And we will give you the floor, Mr. Mayor. I guess on the lighter side, you do have a column with the Lethbridge Journal. And you can share to them how, of course, I read some of your articles there. And he's our great mayor is also active in social media, such as the Facebook. And that's where I address the mayor. And whenever I have a question, I question him there. You take the floor, Mr. Mayor. You have anything to address?
Well, we've had a very good 4 years as a council. We've managed to solve some problems. When I was first elected, we had a problem with drilling companies wanting to drill for oil within the city of Lethbridge, and of course that would affect, people were upset about that they just bought houses, and now a drilling company wants to drill just over their back fence, and it affects schools, it affects other things. So we did protest to the province about the way that they allocated drilling rights, and there was enough community backlash, and the city was part of that, saying this is inappropriate in the city of Lethbridge. So that situation did go away, but we still have to solve it in the long term. Municipalities need to have more say over what happens within our boundaries. The drilling companies can't have the first rights, and the municipalities have second rights.
Yes,
we spend a lot of time planning our city, where schools will go, where residential areas will go, where commercial areas will go, And it just seems like the oil and gas industry can drill whatever they want when they get a license to do so, regardless of the existing plans, right? So we're working on that. We solved the problem with the company that wanted to drill here in the city 3 years ago. That was successful, but it could come again. So we're working with municipalities across the province to encourage the provincial government to give municipalities more rights over what happens within our boundaries. We also kept the right to dispatch our own ambulances. The province wanted to dispatch ambulances out of Calgary and Edmonton, and we were successful in getting them to change their mind and allow Lethbridge and Red Deer and Fort McMurray to have satellite dispatches where we provide regional dispatch, because we think it's more efficient and better for our residents to have people dispatching who know the streets and know the areas where they're sending ambulances and fire trucks. So that was really important. I think we've done well with economic development. One of the things we lobbied for, we supported the university with their destination project. So the provincial government gave them $250 million to build the new science building. $260 million, I think it is now. The college received $66 million to provide trade skills. That's tremendous. We attracted our largest single investment in the city's history, the $360 million that Cavendish is spending for a new potato processing plant in North Lethbridge.
I've seen that.
That was announced today. We are seen as a city that encourages investors, and if people invest in our city, create businesses in our city, that creates employment for people who live in our city. So it's very important. And those are very positive things that move the city forward. So some great successes. We want to continue that and have that important balance. For me, the city council role, being open and encouraging is to people who come here, having good relations with our provincial government and our federal government is important so that we can qualify for funding assistance. We want to make sure that the provincial taxes and the federal taxes that get paid from the city of Lethbridge, that we get something coming back for those taxes as well. They're not just going to other communities, right? So I spend a lot of time building relationships with people at the provincial and federal government levels. So I think with that, we're generally on the right track. We have $1 billion of new investment. Our city was more or less immune from the recession in Alberta. And our housing industry is doing well. We see people supporting the college in their fundraising program. They had a goal to raise $25 million. They raised $27.2 million. The housing industry builds a house every year, and the profits from the sale of that house go back to the college to train students. We have more apprentices in the city of Lethbridge than there are in the city of Calgary, and I think that's a testament to the employers. They are investing in people, not just dollars into the educational institutions. So people are getting skills and becoming independent. So those are all very positive things that are happening in our city right now.
Well, there you go. That's,
and the mayor also, I often see you addresses the population, 100,000 approximate.
Yep.
Where do we go from there? Do we need more expansion, housing and so on, like you mentioned?
More housing, different types of housing. We need to take a look at the way our bus system works. I think our bus system could be more expensive, more accessible. It could be more efficient. We want to make sure that we're providing the right options. We encouraged Uber to come to our city to provide another transportation option for residents.
That's a very good idea.
So we want to make sure that people can get around the city and access the services that they need.
Yes, sir.
And it gives more jobs to people here.
Exactly.
Uber, yes.
And I believe Uber started this month, September officially.
Yep.
That's a very good achievement, Mr. Mayor. On the lighter side, you are a Hurricanes fan. So I've seen the mayor or the great mayor wear our colors and the sports. We support this our sports teams. We have Lethbridge Bulls, we have the Kodiaks, we have the Pronghorns. do we need more sports team on our moving to 100,000 population?
Well, there are people that talk to me about having cricket. So we're providing a cricket area in North Lethbridge.
Wow,
So they often play on the west side right now next to Leonard Van Tighem School. But certainly there's a strong Sri Lankan community in the city, and they're very interested in cricket. And I think there are some people who come from India and Pakistan, some people from New Zealand and the West Indies who enjoy playing cricket. Some from England and Australia as well. So having a cricket pitch, we're going to start that. That's one sport. There's a sport that seniors are playing. It's similar to tennis, but they use a big ball. So that's becoming that sport is coming. So we will adapt and provide opportunities for people as they choose to adopt new sports in the city, and the city will try to help them.
Yes, that's a very good sports initiative too.
That's amazing by our great mayor. Now, us Filipinos, we have like an active basketball league right now, Mr. Mayor. If we may invite you from one of this event, of course, and to address our community, we would love you to have you, and of course, send some messages from our community, and the Asian community, to about this election and get them educated. And we'll send you out the invitation hopefully by tomorrow or the next day, and hopefully it's every Sunday. So we're looking forward, and of course our Filipino community will join, and of course meet our mayor, and of course about his re-election bid to the office. So with that said, Mr. Mayor, we bid you good luck on your re-election, and we thank you on behalf of our staff.
Thank you,
Mr. Louis, Mr. Randy on the technical side. You're with Pinoy Hour. All of the archives history will be posted on our wall. I'll share it with our great mayor's Facebook as well. And everything that you wanted to add or question, of course, you can address it from there, and hopefully we could gather up and send it to our great mayor. And let's support this election. And as he mentioned, it's an open invitation to all. It's not just for us, it's for all Lethbridgians. And let's exercise our right. And let's help our community all together. And United Lethbridge, that's all. I guess not just our dream, I guess it's all of our dream as Lethbridgians as we move forward. So we will end it with that note, Mr. Mayor. Hopefully we'll have a second chance by November, hopefully that we can get to interview you again, and of course address our Asian community if there would be some question arises later on. So we bid you good luck, and of course, as you journey to the office once again. And my name is John. I have Louis. I got the great mayor, Chris Spearman. Got the technical side, Randy. And we'll see you all on next Monday. We have Mr. Zachary Gibb that will run for consular, and we will be interviewing him from September 25. Sorry. And thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. And
thank you.
Have yourself a good day.
Thank you.
Attend the forums, ask questions, make sure you get out and vote. You don't have to vote on election day. You can if you check on the city website, there are dates for the advance polls, and it's quite often less crowded than on election day. So you can go out ahead of time and cast your vote. But please get involved. Don't take democracy for granted. Use your democratic rights and vote.
I love that, Mr. Mayor. So we'll see you all again, and thank you for tuning in. This is Pinoy Hour.
Yes, thank you very much. And just one last message: when you guys vote, make sure you vote for officials that make things happen, not the ones who just let things happen. Like our mayor, he always make things happen, and for Lethbridge, we should all unite and exercise our rights. Okay, goodbye everybody, and
thank you so much.
Thank you very much again, Honorable Mayor Chris Spearman.
Thank you.
All right.